What's up, everybody? We killed the Nintendo Direct. Yes, I'm talking me and Joe. I'm talking all of you guys out there, YouTubers, fans. We killed it. And we're going to talk about that today.
Bros and badges, gotta collect them all.
Yes, y'all, welcome back to Bros and Badges, and today we are talking about the death of the Nintendo Direct. And what do I mean by that? Are Nintendo Directs never coming back? No, not necessarily. Spoiler alert, there's going to be another Nintendo Direct. We'll probably see one in June. So what are we talking about? Well, realistically, we're talking about the death of the cycle of Nintendo Directs. Because for a very long time, it was expected by all that we would get a February Direct, we'd get a June Direct, we'd get a September Direct, and then also we'd get maybe a partner showcase here and there, we'd get maybe a mini Direct, we'd get games specific directs. But honestly, I think the February, June, September Direct is a way of the dodo at this point. I think it's going away, and I think it's because we kind of killed it. And what do I mean by that? There has been a lot of controversy surrounding Directs over the last couple years, especially since the Switch 2 launch. In September last year, we saw Fortune's Weave get revealed, we saw Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, we saw Mario Tennis, a few other games as well, etc. But a lot of people were just kind of underwhelmed by that. It was like, wait, this is the second year for the Switch 2. Like, realistically, that's all you got? Like, where's 3D Mario? Where's a new Zelda game, etc.? The usual staples that everybody asks for. And I feel like, unfortunately, we've gotten to this point where if Nintendo does not announce a big AAA game, or at least as people see, a Zelda, a Smash Bros, a Luigi's Mansion, an Animal Crossing, then people just get mad. They're like, okay, if that's not there, I'm angry. And like, we're all guilty of this. I think a lot of YouTubers have like just kind of created this culture of like, we're always angry at Directs because we always expect the moon. We're always like, yeah, there's gonna be a new 3D Zelda remake, Ocarina of Time. There's gonna be 4D Mario. He's not even 3D anymore. He's 4D. It's just like, and then the trailer comes out. There's no 3D Mario at all, much less 4D. It's not an open world Mario game. There's not Pokopia 4K Elden Ring edition, you know. And so people are just
not yet.
People
at
are
least.
just not happy. Yeah, not yet at least. That's on the way. But guys, yeah, I think the Direct has died, and I think it's because we killed it. And what is the proof in the pudding? The proof in the pudding is there is actually enough that we could have had a February Direct easily. There's enough that we could have even had a May or April Direct easily. And what are we talking about? Well, recently, Joe, there was a bunch of stuff that Nintendo just decided to drop. Twitter drops, random YouTube announcements like mini trailers for games. We saw updates with Rhythm Heaven Groove. We got a release date for that. We saw a new trailer. We got updates for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. We got a new trailer. We got a release date. And that game that they just dropped on the Nintendo Today app and never said a word about, Splatoon Raiders, which should and realistically is a huge upcoming game. That is a spin-off of one of the biggest games, which is Splatoon. Splatoon Raiders, they gave us a new trailer for that, and they gave us a release date. This game is coming out in July. That's crazy. That's super exciting. Yeah. But like, realistically, with that, and then also we had a new, you mentioned this, we had a new Orbitals trailer. That's a great third-party game that I'm really excited about coming to the Switch. All of this could have been enough for a Nintendo Direct. Now, whether or not you think that's enough for it to be a killer Direct, that's a question, but I think it at least was enough to have had a Direct. And also the partner showcase we had a while ago, like that could have just been combined with a Nintendo Direct. We could have had all of that information in the same one. And then there is that spoiler alert, but there is that recently, talked about game from Nate the Hate that he swears is coming. We do believe there's going to be a new Star Fox game coming out in either June or July, sometime in the summer. And if they announce that as well in the Nintendo Direct, I think that definitely would have been enough to warrant a Nintendo Direct. But why didn't we get one, Joe? Why no Direct in February or March or April, as every YouTuber was predicting? As soon as February was over, they're like, no, it's coming in March, I swear. No, it's coming in April, I swear. Why no Direct? What happened?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Zach. I think it's just the community, the kind of takeaway from a Direct. I think unfortunately it causes more issues for Nintendo than it does benefits, and that is every Direct we see it again and again. Everyone gets hyped for it. We start hearing all these leaks, these rumors coming out. I mean, we've been sitting on a Wind Waker / Twilight Princess HD re-release for the Switch since like year one of the Switch. So it's been quite some time. So I think the culture has just changed in a way that Nintendo maybe isn't feeling as pressed on getting these Directs out anymore. And I think it does stem from maybe the negativity around it. I think, now look, don't get me wrong. I'm the type where I'm like, I trust that Nintendo has a plan. Their whole job is to make money. They're not just going to like sit by the wayside and let things go bad, you know? But I do think that there are ways to tackle certain things, and I think that they're going about it in a way that most people aren't expecting. And that is, yeah, we're getting these like small info drops on games that people are really interested in. Now, it could be that they just don't see Yoshi and Splatoon Raiders as like games big enough to warrant, as you said. You know, Yoshi, obviously, like ever since we got more gameplay and more information on it, it seems like a lot of people are kind of realizing that this is mainly a kid's game, and a lot of people are pulling back from wanting to dip their toes in, and I don't blame them for that, right? Obviously, you know, as a fan of Yoshi, and I think as anyone who's a fan of like Mario games in general, they were expecting a certain different thing from this game, you know, maybe like a Yoshi's version of Donkey Kong Bonanza, where we could finally get the character in a world as interesting as a Mario world. But it's just not that. And I think maybe Nintendo knew that that was the case. So they're like, you know what, let's you know, pull the brakes here. We're just going to release everything out and just kind of drip feed everybody. And I think same thing with Splatoon Raiders. I think maybe they don't want to set like a really large, like, hey, this is the next Splatoon game. Because we know it's a budget title. We know it's primarily like, maybe not primarily multiplayer focused, but it's more based on like Salmon Run, which was a individual mode in Splatoon. So, you know, I think a lot of it culminates together into what their current game plan is, and that is, why put out a direct when you only have these like smaller titles? Because even though fans like you and I, Zach, would sit down and we'd be like super excited, we would still love it by the end of it, because we're like, hey, now we have info on this game. It was given to us in a fun way, and there's probably some little, you know, smaller games in the, you know, in between. But I think they're like, you know what, screw it. People are just going to be spamming Super Smash Brothers next guest character reveal, like in, you know, in the live chat, and that's just kind of like what they're used to now, is just seeing people be like, if they don't announce the new Mario game at this indie direct, I'm breaking my Switch too. You know, like that's really like that's literally
and that
the
is the
energy
sentiment.
they come to.
Like,
yeah,
that is the sentiment.
It's so
crazy.
it's just like, at this point, if I was Nintendo,
I've literally seen people spam stuff like, "Where's the Mario game?" Like at the partner showcase. Like, you know, it's like, what are you talking about? It's not going to be here. This is a partner showcase.
Dude, it's so annoying. And our partner showcase, Switch 2 partner showcases, have been fantastic. Like, I feel like every time we're getting really these big games where you're like, oh my god, it's so good to see this on a Switch. Like, this is so cool. Like, I know we're catching up, but like, dude, I was so excited when I saw Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth come to the Switch 2. I was so excited when Persona 3 was getting a re-release on the Switch 2. I was like, finally, I get to enjoy these games on my favorite console, you know? Because yes, I have most of these games on Steam already. I have them. I played halfway through Persona, but like, it's still exciting. But I think just the sentiment behind a direct is like, if you're not pulling up with Mario, if you're not pulling up with Legend of Zelda, if you don't have like the next mainline Pokemon game there, it's just not worth watching. And I think that that's just, you know, it sucks, dude. It sucks. And it just kind of like makes everybody feel like, you know, when was the last time we got a direct and everybody was like, that was a 10 out of 10? You know, you just don't have that. And like,
I mean, we got Pokopia in the September direct, and that was another game that was incredible and was super awesome, and people were still like, nah, whatever, sleep on it.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, people were against
people
it.
Ratioed that direct. They ratioed the partner showcase that you just talked about. Even though, like you said, for me, like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth coming to Switch 2 was enough for me to just be hype and be excited. Like we saw Pragmata. Like, there's like all these games. Like we saw more like Monster Hunter Stories 3. Like there's just like, and more Resident Evil. Like, come on. Evil? Like what do you want? What do you want from a partner showcase? Like, they gave us the goods. Like,
they want Mario.
But again, I think part of it comes down to they want Mario, but also part of it comes down to, I saw a bunch of like YouTubers afterwards that were literally like, oh, it sucked. Like, this showcase sucked. If they'd had this game. And like 90% of them would say, like, if they had this game, I'm like, really? If they had one more game, it would have gone from sucking to being great for you. I'm like, what do you expect? I don't know. It's just silly. I think people get like overhyped and they expect certain games, and then if those games don't show up, they just, it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
Totally understand that. Was it the most revolutionary thing ever? No. I mean, a lot of people, like you said, have these games on other systems, other consoles, and so to them it's kind of like, why would I care about this coming to Switch? But the point is, if the Switch is your main console, which a lot of people, the Switch 2 might be their main console. For me, it is my main console. I don't have a PlayStation 5. I don't have an Xbox Series. So the fact that those games are coming was super exciting to me. Like, I want Elden Ring on Switch. Like, that's awesome. I know it has, according to people, it hasn't been running well, but I'm sure they're going to get it up there once it actually comes out. Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like it's been enough for me, but I think we killed the Direct. Guys, do not go and say Bros and Badges said there's never going to be a Direct. That's not even what we're saying. I think the traditional Direct format of February, June, September is dead. I don't think we're going to see that anymore. I think Nintendo is going to hold out for bigger, like, one-time Directs. I think maybe June or September might just end up being the, like, okay, we're going to have a June Direct. Maybe we'll have a September. And even that's questionable. I do think we'll get a June Direct this year just because we really don't know what's happening the rest of the year. Like, they'll have to give us the goods at some point. But I think they're going to drip feed a lot more content now. And the real question is that better or worse? I personally would prefer a February, June, September, like, dedicated Direct. We always know that's going to come, even if they don't bring the AAA showcase every single time. Just because at least it's a showcase. It's way more fun than getting these Twitter drops and just seeing, like, oh, here's Splatoon Raiders. Here's update to Yoshi and Mysterious Book. Oh, here's a Star Fox game. Like, it always just feels very like half-hearted when it's not in a Direct. It just kind of like, oh, okay. Your brain goes, is this a budget title? Is this like a not as big of a work because they decided to show it in not a Nintendo Direct? I think we're a little hardwired for that too. So now if it's not a Nintendo Direct, we kind of go, huh, is this really the goods? Is this the big game? And then that just, keeps that cycle of, well, they've got to have a really big game coming if they haven't given us a Direct yet. So anyway, I do think we will continue to see Nintendo Directs, and we'll see, Direct-centric, like game-centric Directs here and there. But I do think we've killed the traditional format. And I feel like if the sentiment continues, they may just eventually not do Nintendo Directs at all. They may just be done with it. Give it a few years and people continue to complain and hate the Directs. Like, I don't think we're going to see them as often. But anyways, let us know in the comments what you think about this, guys. Did we kill the Directs? Me and Joe specifically. Not you guys. Couldn't be you. Could never be you. It's just us. We did it. We complained.
I was the one asking for Mario in the indie chat.
Every time, Joe, you were asking for Mario in the partner showcase. Hollow Knight Silk Song. Anyway,